Story of Our Lady's Child. Has anybody ever read this before? Boy, if you want it word for word, check out my word for word version of this. It's listed below. Okay, so Our Lady's Child. It starts off with a very poor family. A man and a woman have nothing. The woodcutter and his wife. They're so poor that they cannot even have money for bread anymore. They can't feed their daughter. Their daughter is a very beautiful little girl, and one day, when the woodcutter is off in the woods doing what woodcutters do, the Virgin Mary appears to him and says, "Your daughter is beautiful, and you are very poor. Let me take her with me to heaven." So he says, okay, and he gives his daughter up. Next thing you know, the little girl's living in heaven. Life's amazing. She eats only the finest things. She wears like silk and gold. She plays with angels, and the world is her oyster. Virgin Mary needs to go on a long journey, so she gives the keys to heaven to the little girl to hold on to. She says, there are 13 locks and 13 doors. You may go in all 12, but this little key right here goes to the 13th. Do not open that. It will cause you great misery. But you can go everywhere else you'd like to go. The little girl says, I promise I will obey. I promise I won't do anything that I would regret or that you would be upset about. As soon as she leaves, she goes from room to room to room and sees all the glories of heaven. But she's not satisfied. That 13th door is still there, and she wants to know what is inside it. So she tells the angels, I don't think I'm going to open it all the way, but I think I'm going to just unlock it. That way I can look through the keyhole and I can see what's in there. They tell her, no, it's a bad idea. Don't do it. She heeds them no warning, or she does not listen to their warning whatsoever. Next thing, she opens the door, puts the lock and the key, and turns around. But just by unlocking it, the force of the door opens the door all the way, and she looks inside. She sees the Holy Trinity, and there's this beautiful fire glowing in the middle. For whatever reason, she decides, oh, I know I'm not supposed to go in here, but I'm going to do it anyway. So she goes in, and she touches the fire with her pinky, and it turns her pinky bright gold. And this terrifies her because she thinks, oh crap, now they're going to know that I went in here, and that's going to be all bad. So she leaves, she shuts the door and locks it. She tries to wash it off her hand, but there's no washing it off. The Trinity fire has turned her to gold. Virgin Mary comes back, asks for the keys of heaven. She notices right away that the girl is scared and says, you opened the 13th door, didn't you? And the little girl says, no, I didn't do that. I didn't open the 13th. And then she sees that her pinky is gold, and now she knows for a fact, yes, you did. You opened the 13th door. But she lies and says, no, I didn't. Virgin Mary gives her one last chance and says, tell me that you opened the door. But she didn't. She says, no, I didn't do it. I'm not going to fess up to that. And so she expels her from heaven. She says, you're lying. You disobeyed and you're a liar. No more heaven for you. Kicks her out. Throws her into a desert. And in the middle of this desert, there's brambles and thorns and stuff that keep her in this little, piece of the forest desert. And then there's this little crappy broken down tree in the middle, and she decides that's going to be her home. And throughout the years, she eats barely, roots and twigs. Her clothes fall apart, and eventually she's completely naked, and she just has like 12 feet of very beautiful long hair that covers her. And one day the king is following a beautiful stag into the forest, and it jumps into her thicket. And so when the king cuts away the brambles and sees her sitting there in front of the tree, he's like, you're gorgeous, what are you doing? And she's like, she can't talk. And he's like, you can't talk? You're beautiful and you can't talk? Beep, yeah, I freaking won the jackpot. Do you want to come marry me? Do you want to come live in my house? And she's just like, and he nods, and he's like, fuck yes, I got like a girl, she don't talk, and she's beautiful. Pops her on the horse, takes her home with her, falls in love with her, marries her. About a year later, a little less, they have a son, and the night that the son is born, she's asleep, and the Virgin Mary appears to her and wakes her up and says, hey, hi, remember me? Well, you remember how you said you didn't open that kingdom, that 13th door? Yeah, do you remember that? Fess up, and you can speak. Then you'll be able to talk to your husband. Life will be a lot better once you have your tongue back. Or don't, and I'm just going to take your son from you. And she allowed her to speak her answer, and thinking the girl was going to be like, yeah, it was me. But nope, she says, I didn't do it. That wasn't me. That was somebody else's problem. So Virgin Mary says, oh, you want to play this game? Boom, takes the kid. So the next morning, the people of the castle, they say, oh my gosh, the queen is a man-eater. She ate her own child. We can't find him anywhere. The king doesn't want to hear this. He loves his queen. And he says, you know what? I don't know what happened, but she didn't eat our kid. That's what I do know. A little less than a year goes on. She's pregnant again, has another son. Same thing happens. Virgin Mary comes and says, oh, well, go ahead and just tell me the truth, and this can all go away. I can untie your tongue. You may have both your children. Sure enough, girl is selfish and stupid and says, nah, I'm cool. I don't really want to fess up to anything. I don't think that I did anything wrong. And so she takes her son. Now she has no kids for the second time, and the people are furious. They're like, this woman is horrible. She has taken 2 sons now, and we can't let this go on. There's no way we can let this go on. We have to kill her. We got to do something. But the king says, if anybody talks about this again, you're going to be the one put to death, not my wife, because I love my wife. This isn't her. So, a little less than a year goes on, and she has yet another child. This one's a daughter. Virgin Mary comes back, and this time she takes her to heaven, and she shows her 2 sons are alive and well. They're growing up beautiful. They're playing with a ball that's actually made out of the world. And they wave to her, and Virgin Mary says, is your heart not softened by this? You can have back both your sons and your speech. You just have to confess. Or don't confess, and I'll take your 3rd child as well. She thinks about it and goes, no, I didn't open the door. Virgin Mary throws her back down to earth, takes the 3rd child. In the morning, the people say, King, you can't let this go on. Come on, she's eating girls, she's eating boys, she's non-discriminatory on this, she's just killing everybody. We got to set her to death. Well, the king, he's like, I can't defend her anymore. I don't know where the kids are going. I really don't. So he gets the wood together, he puts her on a pyre, they light the pyre, and as she's sitting there burning, she thinks to herself, well, I should probably confess. I wish I could just confess before I die that I did in fact open the kingdom of heaven. So then Mary, hearing that, gives her back her speech, calls down rain. Rain extinguishes the fire. Thereabouts, the girl is able to speak to Mary and say, Mary, I messed up. I opened the door. You told me I shouldn't have, and I did. Mary heals her tongue, gives her back all 3 of her children, and tells her those people who confess their sins and repent are always blessed and welcome back.